Top 10 richest people in history. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos might have doubled and tripled their wealth in the last year, but what if we told you the world's richest people right now pale in comparison to the richest people in history? The richest people in the world back then had ridiculous amounts of wealth. From kings, businessmen to monopolists, here are the top 10 richest people in history. But before we begin, let's smash that like button and subscribe to our FABULOSO channel, because we are always uploading interesting videos just like this one. And if you like this type of content, also hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Okay, let's get to it. Number 10. William Henry Vanderbilt. William Henry Vanderbilt was an American businessman in the 19th century. Most of his wealth came from an inheritance after his father died. After passing away, his father blessed him with a $100 million fortune, which is equivalent to over $50 billion today. Not only that, but he actually managed to triple his dad's wealth in his lifetime to almost $239 billion in today's money. He went to Columbia College but never ended up graduating, as he decided to focus on working hard on waiting for his dad to die or something like that. Number 9. Stephen Girard. Born in France, Girard became an American citizen in the mid-18th century. After the Haitian Revolution, you know the one in which all the slaves in Haiti literally revolted against their owners and beheaded them all, he was involved in trade between the US and Haiti. When the people he was trading with literally died, he decided to bring back all his ships in Haiti, and since the fortune that was in the ships had no owners, he decided to simply keep it all for himself. Smart choice, because it made him the richest man in America. His wealth was estimated to be between $115 and $120 billion in today's value. Number 8. Cornelius Vanderbilt. Remember William Henry Vanderbilt? Yeah, this is the dad who gave him his wealth. He started his career by working in his father's business and eventually worked his way up to completely monopolizing the railroad industry in the United States. Railways were booming in the US in the 18th century. After making a few right decisions and being an early investor in railroads, Cornelius became the richest man in America. His net worth was estimated at being between $100 and $200 billion in today's money. Perhaps the weirdest thing about him is that he married his cousin named Frank, a woman. Yes, she was from Alabama. Number 7. John Jacob Astor. John Jacob Astor was a man who laid the groundwork for one of the most effective ways for the American government to eventually earn him money: heroin smuggling. On top of already having a monopoly on the illegal fur trade, he amassed a fortune by smuggling opium to China during the Opium Wars. He used the money he made smuggling opium to invest in New York City real estate, and became even richer. He was the first multi-millionaire in America. In today's money, his wealth was estimated at being around $140 billion. Not bad for a drug dealer. Number 6. Henry Ford. This man is probably the reason you were stuck in traffic this morning. Henry Ford was an automotive engineer from Michigan, and he actually revolutionized almost every manufacturing industry we know of today by inventing the assembly line in the 20th century. But that's not how he earned most of his money. He designed the world's first mass-produced vehicle that was affordable to the middle class, the Ford Model T. Since then, American cities changed completely and were transformed exclusively for cars, and cars became a symbol of American culture. This made him extremely rich, and he amassed a wealth of almost $200 billion when adjusted for inflation. Number 5. Mir Osman Ali Khan. The first non-American on our list, Mir Osman Ali Khan, was the ruler of the Hyderabad state, located in India between the 19th and 20th centuries. The Hyderabad state was semi-autonomous from British and Indian rule, and the ruler of the state essentially owned everything there. All public buildings, the state treasury, all state assets, and all tax collected went straight to him. He was so rich that he used a $50 million diamond as a paperweight, since he also owned all of the diamond production in the world at the time. His wealth was estimated at being $210 billion in today's money. Number 4. Andrew Carnegie. There is a pattern of some pretty awful guys being super rich, so here's someone that actually doesn't seem insufferable. Andrew Carnegie was a Scottish man who left his country as his family was starving after the death of his father. Arriving in America, he worked numerous working-class jobs until having his big break by being an early oil investor in 1864. He would use that money to enter the steel industry and eventually turned his company into the largest steel producer on the planet, and having the first company valued at over $1 billion. He ended up donating 90% of his wealth before he died and encouraged others to do so. He pretty much started the trend of billionaire philanthropy. At its peak, his wealth was worth $310 billion today. Number 3. John D. Rockefeller. Today, the word Rockefeller might be more famous because of a skyscraper in New York, but in the early 20th century, Rockefeller was synonymous with wealth. He invested in oil at a time where essentially no one even knew what oil was worth, and eventually owned most of the world's proven oil reserves. His company Standard Oil had to eventually be broken up by the US government because it was that powerful. The companies that were born out of Standard Oil's breaking up are one of the largest companies in the world today. His wealth was estimated at up to $350 billion in today's money. Number 2. Jakob Fugger. You know you're rich when your nickname is Fugger the Rich. Fugger, which is a fun name to say, was an entrepreneur from Germany who had a strong mining business. Because of his influence in the mining industry, Fugger managed to buy out any competition he had in copper mining and ended up with a monopoly on all the copper in Europe. Some people just don't like to share. His hold on copper ended up with him amassing a wealth of over $400 billion in today's money. Number 1. Musa I of Mali. Let's just start off by saying Musa I of Mali was so rich that no one even knows how much money he actually had. The number is literally inestimable. He was the king of the African kingdom of Mali from 1312 and 1337, and for the first time brought prosperity and wealth to Mali for the first time by being one of the first African nations to open up to European trade. He owned most of the world's wealth, and once on a pilgrimage to Mecca, he gave away so much gold to the poor in North Africa that it crashed the value of gold and subsequently the economies in those North African nations. So that's a wrap for the 10 richest people in history. Which one do you think had the most fabulous story? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to leave a like on this video and subscribe to our Fabuloso channel for more videos like this. See you in our next one.